Hey, did you know that there was something more spectacular than the eclipse? It was a proposed federal privacy law, bipartisan and bicameral too. It is meant to preempt most, if not all, of the state laws. As part of this new federal privacy law, they're proposing a data broker registry. One of the cool things that they're proposing is a global opt-out signal. So if I say I want to opt out of data collection, it applies anywhere.
The ability to opt out globally. I mean, there's entire companies that are currently set up because the process is such a disaster, right? So that's amazing.
There was a lot of conversations around private right of action. And private right of action is fancy legal term saying, do I have the right to sue or the right to take legal action? That was something that was not included in the original privacy bill, but it is included in this proposed privacy bill. I want to pivot to the data broker conversation that we had a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago, about GM collecting information on our cars. I wanted to share a couple resources for people. One of the resources is GM got a lot of flack for it. So they actually have published information on how to opt out. And believe it or not, they actually disclosed a little bit more of how this is happening. It was all totally within the OnStar program. You can actually get a consumer disclosure report from LexisNexis Risk Solutions. What is in that consumer disclosure report is whatever information companies are using to offer you loans or quote insurance rates or offer government assistance. So if you weren't aware of that resource, definitely go check it out.
Can we talk a little bit about the Notepad Plus plugin?
It looks like it's just DLL hijacking.
For anyone that doesn't know how it works, a program, when it loads, when it executes, it loads DLLs. The DLLs contain, basically program functions that the program itself needs to use. We drop a malicious DLL into the same directory, and that malicious DLL proxies the legitimate DLL. So essentially, we're passing through the calls to the real DLL, and we're also injecting our malicious code into that chain.
A regular unprivileged user can go on the App Store, on the Microsoft Store, and install applications. So a lot of times we are DLL hijacking programs that user has access to modify.
They execute under the context of an existing process, which means they bypass application allow listing.
Locking down access to Microsoft Store, preventing users from installing third-party software themselves is a big recommendation.
This is I think, good to see public execution of these attacks. And now when we do pen tests and we say, hey, this vulnerability is here, your program can be DLL hijacked. That has so much more impact now because we can say, and here's a campaign that uses it, and that's why you should fix it.
This man single-handedly shut down North Korea's internet.
I get that people like this, okay? They're like, yay! But here's the problem. You're actually talking about shutting down a monstrous amount of intel that the United States and other Five Eyes countries are collecting off of that country. And there is tremendous value in knowing what absolutely crazy people are doing.
But at the same time, we don't seem to actively go after any of these threats.
There are entire teams, of course, at the NSA and the CIA, that are taking offensive actions continuously against our adversaries. So it's always a little bit disconcerting when people are like, they need to be doing this. We are doing this. We are actively doing this continuously. So sleep better or sleep worse at night, I guess, depending on your perspective. Larry Ellison released an article. It said it's time to hand cybersecurity over to computers. Does he even know that he's in charge of Oracle? How can he say that, oh, well, all of a sudden we're going to have, computers do better computer security?
If we're handing off security, who are we handing it to?
Oracle.
The cloud computer providers. The cloud people.
Oracle Cloud, I see.
Yeah, we should not give cybersecurity over to the computers, especially the computers that are run by cloud service providers.
Bronwyn quotes, all AI is doing is strengthening the argument in favor of teaching critical thinking. If we look at it as a tool to enable our critical thinking and allow us to parse additional information, I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. I don't think it's going to end up that way. I think the horrible thing is going to happen instead. But I think that point absolutely sums it up. We need to strengthen our ability as human beings to do critical thinking and separate out bullshit from truth. Join us for live InfoSec news every Monday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Black Hills InfoSec YouTube channel.